sister's a therapist and I tell jokes. We both want to help all kinds of folks.
Hello, and welcome to My Sister's a Therapist. This is a show where a stand-up comedian and a therapist talk about pop culture, mental wellness, what kind of bitch and sauce is our favorite, why bitch and sauce should sponsor us, really anything we want to. I'm the stand-up comedian in the equation. My name's Virginia Jones, but my sister is a therapist.
Hello, I'm Laura Ryan. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, but my main credit is sister to amusement ambassador Virginia Jones.
Interesting. That one sounds regal, like I should have a sash and a crown.
I'm going to say you're worth it. I would like to add something else that we talk about is our shared family trauma.
Yes. Laura just informed me that she took a quiz, but it wasn't to tell her which character on Friends she is. She took a quiz on neglect, and she said, we meet all the requirements for childhood neglect. I didn't need to take a frickin' quiz.
It wasn't really a quiz. It was part of my continuing education. Here are all the criterion of extreme neglect, and we met all criteria.
When Dad moved out and I, as a 15-year-old, needed to get us groceries and get you to school, that's when I thought maybe we were being neglected.
Could be. Before we get started, I think I'm going to start calling this Zach's Corner.
In real world time, it's Zach's birthday today, so he'll hear this in a couple weeks, but happy birthday, Zach.
Happy birthday, Zach. And thank you for being our super fan. I also want to encourage anyone who's listening, if you'd like to be our super fan, you're welcome to just send us an email at hello@mysistersatherapist.com. We'll have funny dialogues together, and I might get some amusing stuff that I can share on our podcast about you.
If you are a fan of the podcast, please know that anything you send to Laura will be up for consideration to be read on the air.
If you want to say something super private, don't send me an email. Book an appointment with me. I contractually cannot share it.
When she's not doing therapy, it's the other extreme where she needs to tell everybody everything.
If I'm not doing therapy, then I'm going to spread your business all over town. If I am doing therapy, I'm ethically obligated to share nothing. First, he sent a video of Mariah Carey, and it starts out with her sort of doing an impression of the Addams Family. So it's really spooky. And then all of a sudden, there's this twist, and we get back into All I Want for Christmas Is You. He sent the video, and then he wrote the caption, "My week when Thursday rolls around." And then he said, "Oh my God, I am blushing. This is absolutely true. I'm getting in too deep." So then I send him this picture.
Why don't you describe this image? I don't know if I can do it justice.
I put our logo on an image that I found on the internet of Zach.
That's creepy.
It is. You're trying to stalk me? Get this. I'm going to stalk you more.
Mutual Stalking Society, MSS.
I put our logo because you said it was too complicated to get a tattoo, but I don't agree. He has a face tattoo of our logo, and I think it looks pretty good.
It looks pretty great.
I said the face tat is a bit much, but I think it suits you. Maybe Zach's face with our logo on it will be our new logo. That's our Zach's Corner for the week.
Truly a spinning hall of mirrors.
Agreed.
Fan facts. Do you have any fan facts for us this week?
I certainly do. I learned some new things about our listenership. I just wanted you to know what our international stats are. US at 65% is holding strong at number 1.
That makes sense because we live there.
That's what you think. Then followed by UK, Turkey in position 3. Turkey got ousted. UK's in position 2.
Nice.
Brazil, Germany, France, Canada, Spain, Italy, and then lastly, Thailand.
Norway's dropped off?
Yep, we lost Norway.
Wow. Well, on we struggle. Welcome, UK.
Virginia. Part of this podcast every week is that one of us is a complete moron. The other one knows everything about the topic. I get to be the lobotomized person this week, and you have a topic for us. What is our topic this week?
In my opinion, one of us is always a complete moron.
You shouldn't talk about yourself that way.
This week is a listener topic from a listener named Rachel. Rachel wrote us a great email that is very expletive filled, and so I'm going to try to clean it up for the air. I submit for consideration the concept of these mother marketers inventing new every other day to sell women on bull products and concepts to make them feel like even mouthwash was invented to cure bad breath. A comic had a joke about this. Listerine used to have a campaign where they would send, if you wrote in someone's name and address who you thought had bad breath, a bottle of Listerine.
What the heck?
That was a promotion that they did.
So human beings have always sucked, is what you're telling me.
And the comic was like, Has anyone ever received that bottle and thought, wow, that's really nice? I'm surprised there aren't more Listerine-based killing sprees. They're keeping women in a cycle of, quote, not enough. Now that everyone can have Ozempic and diet culture is waning, they aren't dressed to their archetype. They haven't done their hair color match or their skin, while Botox Smooth sometimes has hormonal acne. But hormones in health aren't a thing unless you're on your period, then they are, and you can't run the country. Get me off this spinning rock. Rant over. Would love y'all's take on this and why we are fine as we are, and how the constant marketing isn't just designed to make money. It's designed to keep us wondering if we're good enough due to reasons dudes don't even have to think about. Those 3-in-1 sour soap, never seen a facialist sunscreen who just, quote, gets more dignified with gray hair, mother blippies. Okay, now I'm done.
Thank you, Rachel.
In our lifetime, we have seen a lot of products come and go that for a second, there was the Biore thing where everybody thought, I'm not attractive unless I've had a strip pull all the sebum out of my nose. And then it got crazy. You could do it for your forehead and your cheeks and your eyebrows.
And now everyone's saying that it's bad because it actually makes your pores bigger. So you shouldn't be doing that.
Remember those foot pads that turned black and they said they were pulling all the toxins out of your feet? But they turned black because you were sweating on them. And then the sweat made the thing black. Sun in. Everybody had to have orange hair.
Virginia basically was sun-in reliant for at least 3 years.
And it looked terrible, but I thought it was so glamorous. I was an orange-haired child, and there was a moment where I had a bad perm, and it was orange, and that was just dark times.
Because it wasn't orange in an Annie way.
Right.
It was an orange in off-duty sex worker way.
Here are some old school beauty products we don't use today for various reasons. Arsenic-based complexion soaps in the early 19th century. It would whiten the skin, but it was also highly poisonous.
They say beauty is pain, am I right?
Radium Cosmetics, face creams, powders, and other products in the early to mid 20th century that contained radioactive elements marketed for a, quote, healthy glow. You were glowing.
You are literally glowing.
An old one, lead-based kohl eye makeup. While kohl is still used in some forms today, ancient recipes often contain lead, which is toxic. Cantharidin from blister beetles, used in hair restorers and sometimes as an aphrodisiac. This poisonous agent was included in products like Barry's Trisophorus for the hair. This was a hairdressing sold in the 1840s. Queen Elizabeth I is famous for a lot of odd standards and a very toxic beauty regime. She created this kind of Elizabethan ideal of beauty. Her look was very stylized for the time. Super white face, super bright copper hair. When I say Queen Elizabeth I, everyone gets a picture in their head.
Black teeth.
She was using white face paint. She had smallpox in 1562, and so her face was left with marks. She was wearing heavy, heavy white face paint. It did have lead in it. Red pigments for lips and cheeks from mercury, toxic. Her bright red wigs probably were because she had lost hair due to lead poisoning. She was using kohl and belladonna on her eyes, so a real twofer. Belladonna drops will make your eyes sparkle and make your pupils dilate like you're in love, but it will also increase your heart rate and it can make you die. Very committed to her own beauty standard, which probably contributed to her death. At the time, Elizabethan fashion was a high forehead, and you would pluck your eyebrows and your hairline like David Bowie.
Maybe David Bowie wanted to look more like Queen Elizabeth I.
In our lifetime, we've seen a ton of different beauty standards. Heroin chic in the 90s, which was the same as the flapper body, which is the same as Twiggy in the 60s. In Victorian era, physically frail was very fashionable. Looked like you had tuberculosis, and a lot of people did. You wanted to have a really small waist and just be really tiny. Fainting all the time. This idea of helplessness and that men needed to rescue you.
Have you ever seen Erin Parsons? I follow her on Xiaoheng Shu, aka Red Note. I'm sure she's on Instagram. But what she does is she uses old-timey makeup. So she'll put a lot of this bug stuff on her face. She looks gorgeous. She does a lot of looks from different time periods. And it is so interesting to see in different eras. She looks distinctly different from herself from one era to the next.
I think I have seen her. She was doing the mascara with the Man Ray eyelashes with the little dots on the end.
Yes, yes.
The ideal woman changes every couple of years. And to be ideal, you have to keep up with it. Even more toxic is the changing body standards. I can change my makeup whenever I want to.
I can pull all the hair off of the top of my head anytime I want.
Sure. Eyebrows. We've seen eyebrows go from the teeny tiny. My 2000s, 90s eyebrows were terrible. And now it's supposed to be very big and bushy. And some older women who plucked out all their eyebrows and they didn't grow back, we can't actually do the great big huge caterpillar brow.
That was the issue that our grandmother had, Grandma Jenny. She shaved her eyebrows and plucked them. So when it was back in fashion to have eyebrows again, she was SOL. She had to draw them on.
Talking about body standards, we had J-Lo's butt in the 90s. We had Kim Kardashian's butt in the 2000s. And now the butt is back and we have women getting Brazilian butt lifts. Sometimes it's the chest. Dolly Parton's rack was very important in the 70s and 80s. In the 50s, it was the waist, and you would have teeny tiny waists and corsets, and people were getting ribs removed. There was a moment in the late 90s where it was fashionable to be extremely muscular, which I thought was cool, but also to always have very big boobs. And that really drove me around the bend because it is not possible to have a super low fat percentage and also have great big bouncing boobies. That is surgical enhancement. I know we've talked about this idea that you can just starve yourself into this shape or that shape. You can lift weights to get that shape. But when it gets to be a shape that no one can get without surgical enhancement, that's really frustrating. Then you're in the 60s, you're supposed to be waif thin, your makeup is graphic, extreme. And in the 70s, there's the natural look. And it's a reaction to this very artificial looks of the 60s. And all of time moves between these poles. Makeup gets super stylized and contoured and extreme. And now we're in a moment where it's the no makeup look. There's a core of wellness spread over everything. But as far as bodies, emphasis tends to be on the boobs, the butt, or the back. And it just cycles through those things. Sometimes legs, never armpits. We have never said armpits are the place to be.
And I'm disappointed that double chins have never really gotten into it.
Maybe that's the future.
God willing. I think having a turkey waddle should start being very, very sensual.
To answer Rachel's question, when did this start? Products started to be specifically and heavily marketed to women in the mid to late 19th century and then grew in the 20th. So there's a couple big social changes. The first is the rise of mass production, the Industrial Revolution. This is the first time that factories could make vast quantities of goods, soaps, canned goods, ready-to-wear clothing. This meant that households began buying many things they previously had to make. It used to be you would have a couple outfits that your mom made you or you made yourself or you had made by a tailor. The Industrial Revolution was the first time that you could just buy ready-to-wear stuff. And it was a revolution, but it also meant that fashion started to pick up the pace and you could more easily have a look transferred against a whole culture. It used to be only rich ladies would have the latest fashions because they would get new dresses every year. And you'd have Godey's Lady Book and woodcut print trends and lithographs. And you could say, this is what the ladies in Paris are wearing. I'm going to get a dress like that. When your mom is making you whatever you're wearing, you're getting whatever she makes you and you're going to wear it a couple years.
It's made out of a flour bag because you're poor.
Then we have the recognition of the female consumer, turn of the 20th century. Advertisers and manufacturers started noticing that women were the chief purchasing agents for the family. They didn't necessarily have the money, but they were doing the shopping.
AKA domestic labor.
Correct. By the early 20th century, it was widely believed that women made 80% or more of all consumer purchases. And the purchases they weren't making, they were influencing. A woman would influence her husband's car purchase. She would influence the house purchase. Here's a whole new consumer market that we can sell stuff to.
And exploit.
And then advertising started to push towards women. We've got Ladies' Home Journal and Good Housekeeping. Department stores started turning towards women. Avon started sending women to other women's houses. A homemaker wouldn't necessarily be out shopping all the time. You could send someone to her home to sell her beauty products. Avon started as the California Perfume Company in 1886.
Wow. I was going to ask you, how long has that been around? I didn't expect that.
That's a minute. Door-to-door perfume salespeople. While general advertising has existed for centuries, the strategic modern style marketing, specifically targeting women as the primary consumer, took off during the late 1800s and early 1900s. Did you know in the 40s that Lucky Strike cigarettes came in a green package because that Kelly Green was very popular at the time? This will look good with women's outfits. We're going to encourage women to smoke.
Wonderful.
I've got an accessory. So why are beauty standards and beauty marketing more intense now? I think this is the core of Rachel's question. I'm going to go back to a book that I read in college and many other Gen Xers may have read in college, Naomi Wolf's The Beauty Myth. Do you know this book?
Yes, I have a copy of it. Have I read it? Probably not.
The core of the beauty myth is that as women get more power, as women leave the home to work, as women have more influence, beauty standards become more restrictive. And it's a way of asserting control over us. We talked before about how if women are spending every second of every day thinking about how to be a size 6, they don't have the energy to start a political revolution, leave their husbands, or run out in the streets and spill capitalist blood. We're too busy counting calories and we're tired.
I think just the maintenance of the human body. I was thinking about this the other day. I needed a pedicure, but I ran out of time. I did it at home. It took forever, one, but also two, I thought to myself, why do they call this self-care? This is literally just maintaining my appearance. This is not to scrub all of the skin off the backs of my feet. That's not self-care. Self-care to me is doing something that will actually benefit me as a person, and doing my feet is not self-care.
When you're doing a pedicure in a shop and you have a massage chair, I think that is relaxing. And I do find that to be self-care, having someone do it for you.
A lot of men say things like, well, women are out there getting their hair colored for 3 hours and getting all these treatments and yada, yada, yada. But that's not enjoyable. It's just maintaining my appearance. That's not an enjoyable thing. Self-care would be going to a yoga class. Self-care would be meditating. Self-care would be doing something that benefits me as a person.
And it's something that I'm doing to fit in with society.
Right. Ooh, you've got to take care of yourself so you can look good for your husband. I mean, that term really annoys me.
Talking about the time period before the Industrial Revolution, a woman's social value was tied to her domestic work and her fertility, her ability to survive childbirth. The beauty standard was much more individual. I'm sure that there were trends, but there wasn't this rigid, this is attractive, this is not. And there wasn't this constant change of beauty standards. During the Dark Ages, a woman was considered attractive if she had a good number of her original teeth. That's a really easy target to hit.
I've made it. I was watching YouTube with my son in an attempt to connect with him.
Mistake.
We were watching a video of Mr. Beast. It was a video he had made in 2015 to his future self, and he was a high schooler. The part that really bummed me out was in his high school video, he said, I hope I have a wife and I hope I have kids. And Mr. Beast said, I'm nearly there. I just proposed to my gorgeous partner. Why are we talking about her beauty?
Because that makes him look better.
That's so creepy to me, though. All you can say is that she's attractive. Why don't you say my wonderful fiance?
Right. My supportive, my loving, my whatever. I've seen this over and over again in comedy when men get a little bit famous and then they marry someone who is much, much more attractive than them. And then after that, all of their depictions of this person are about her sex appeal and how hot she is. And that's it. As a friend of these people, it's a giant turnoff. His ex-wife, he took a picture of her, and I think it was for their anniversary or Valentine's Day. They took a photo where he was laying down in a bed and she was wearing lingerie. He had sat her up on a pillow so that everyone could see the whole contour of her body, and then just talked about how hot she was. This is gross. You are promoting yourself through the hotness of your partner.
This is misogyny. Mr. Beast and I'm not going to say we're friends. I barely know him, but I would say that it just makes me super sad that the best thing you can come up with about the woman that you're spending your life with is about her appearance.
Right. And why wouldn't it be? The overarching idea of the book is that the beauty myth as a mass phenomenon took root with industrialization and consumer culture, where beauty became a commodity. It became something you could sell to us. Here's a quote from the book. 33,000 American women told researchers, I'm assuming in the 90s, that they would rather lose 10 to 15 pounds than achieve any other goal. Any other goal. Nobel Prize, multi-platinum record. Losing 15 pounds was more important than that. Making a good living, because we really think that losing that weight is going to change our lives.
It's more important to lose 15 pounds than to codify the Equal Rights Amendment.
You're right. So she said, more women have more money and more power and scope and legal recognition than we have ever had before. But in terms of how we feel about ourselves physically, we may be worse off than our unliberated grandmothers. The beauty myth asserts that physical beauty is an objective, universal quality women must embody, and this pursuit of perfection is a primary path to self-worth. This emerged as a patriarchal backlash against the feminist movement. Women started getting jobs in the 80s, showing up in the workplace, and then what was the first thing that happened? Oh, you look too masculine. You need to have a nice flower poof scarf. You don't look fresh. You need to put on more makeup. Oh, you need to smile more. Men were intimidated by and aggravated by our presence in the workforce. So they looked for ways to undermine us. And the beauty myth is just part of that. The beauty myth also pits women against other women. And this is the greatest trick the devil ever pulled, was to make it feel like there could be only one. In every room, there has to be a most attractive woman, and you need to be her because you're going to have the most power, access. People are going to like you the most. Have you ever felt that way, that there's competition to be the most attractive woman
I'm
in the room?
always the most attractive woman in the room?
Well, you are.
I have felt that way. Refer back to our pretty privilege episode. I haven't felt that way in a long time, but I remember being, as a very young woman, there was such a competition for boys that was really tough. Going to a party in high school, because we didn't have Tinder. This Saturday night is my only opportunity to meet boys who don't go to my school. And so there was a feeding frenzy for boys, and I never won, P.S.
I just think it's so funny how we acted like there weren't enough boys to go around.
There weren't. It's the same problem we have now. The very cute, with all his teeth, smart, sweet, funny boy. There's not a lot of them.
I think that there's a biological way that we look for the apex man. And I think it's especially true when we're in our teens and 20s. We're looking for the hottest guy in the room, the richest guy in the room. He's going to have the most resources for us. But it cuts us off at the knees because there's 8 women going for the same guy. And then everyone's going to have to wear more lip gloss. That's just how it is.
And that's how we've created incels.
The idea that women are not attractive enough is a way to take us down. We're so focused on appearance. We're distracted from achieving power in professional, political, economic arenas. This idea has been introduced to keep us focused on ourselves and on our appearance and on whether, to Rachel's point, the length of our skirt is right or we're wearing the right colors. It's all a smokescreen.
As you know, I've been watching a lot of Family Ties lately.
Have you really?
And I remember thinking back on Mallory. Oh, she's such a ditz and a moron. All she cares about is boys and fashion. And it's true. But I heard her on a phone call with a friend in an episode. She should have been a designer because she was obsessed with clothes. She was talking about what Sally wore to school today and why it wasn't cute enough and why Brad's not going to enjoy this new skirt she's got. This chick did not care about school. She did not really care about her friendships. She didn't care about her family too much. She was just focused on fashion and finding a man that was attracted to her.
And I think that this idea, while it may have been propagated by men, propagated by advertising, women have really picked it up and run with it. The idea
absolutely.
that I need to be the most attractive at all times. Women do a lot of things in beauty that men are not even aware of. They don't think about.
I remember my first boyfriend would say, "Why are you in the bathroom for so long? Why is it taking you so long to get ready?" Because I have to completely reconstruct my face.
Because I'm ugly.
I'm an uggo and I'm trying to look less uggo. I'm pouring myself into an ill-fitting dress. Come on.
The breadth and scope of artisan fingernails and the huge coffin nails, that is for women. Women are doing it for women. Your man is not going to say, "Oh, wow, each of your nails has a different
sushi on it."
Right. A different member of the British suffragette movement on it. That really turns me on. We take the rope from men and we start flagellating ourselves. What is that? A hair shirt? Can I get it in an extra, extra small?
Can I get that in a 00? I haven't eaten in 6 months.
Big picture. In the Industrial Revolution, women started coming out as a consumer. As we come up in the world, the patriarchy looks for ways to put us down. And then we put ourselves down and we put each other down. What are the harms of the beauty myth? Psychological harm. Every woman is walking around with self-doubt and anxiety and depression because we're all striving for this unattainable idea. And our mental health is suffering. We were told we could have it all. We're trying to have a successful work life while having children, while maintaining a household, while maintaining a size 2 with beautiful blonde hair and intricate fingernails, Botox and everything else. Where does the time come from? Where does the money come from? And it keeps us in this churn of stress and disorder.
I agree. When I meet with a client every week, I give them the same form to fill out. I start out with a lot of little tick boxes of things that are going well. Are these things going well for you? And one of them is better self-image. And to me, self-image is based on my achievement, how I feel about what's going on in my life. But every woman that I ever talk to, when I ask her that question, the answer is about her body or her weight. And it makes me super sad.
I'm going to challenge you and say that that's what self-image means to most people.
But that's not what self-image is. Let's look it up.
Okay.
According to Merriam-Webster, self-image is a noun that means one's conception of oneself or of one's role.
I have another one, unknown where it comes from. The idea one has of one's abilities, appearance, and personality. Appearance is part of it, but it's only part of it. It's also, what can I do? What is my personality? Women do get very bogged down in the physical appearance.
Literally every time I ask that question, they talk about their body or their appearance or their weight.
And just like beauty standards are always changing, fashion standards are always changing. It used to be a 20-year cycle in between skirts getting micro mini to maxi. There'd be about 20 years of moving up and down the leg. That has shortened because of hyper mass production and the internet. We might be on a 10-year cycle. Fashions of the 90s are back today. That's a 35-year cycle. Fashions of the 2000s are hot today. That's only 25 years. Skirts go up and they go down. Fashions get more revealing. And then on the other pole, more modest. Hair gets shorter, hair gets longer. We're in this lotto ball randomizer of what's hot in the moment.
I remember you telling me this in high school and I didn't believe you. But now that I've been alive for a really long time, I've been able to kind of see it play out in real time, that it's just repeats over and over again. For example, Mallory.
My God, does everything come back to family ties?
Yes. Mallory is for some reason dressing like a Victorian woman. She has these ribbons that are sewn in to make this kind of pattern. She looks like a pioneer woman.
That was the thing. Do you know that the formal brand is called Gunny Sacks? It's not Goon Sacks. I didn't know that until recently. It's a joke on Gunny Sacks. That idea of the Holly Hobby look was very hot.
Where did that come from? That feels like it came out of nowhere because that's not a 25-year cycle. That's like a 100-year cycle.
I think it maybe came out of the New Romantics. There became this idea of a little Victorian boy, a little jacket, and a little Peter Pan collar. It may have come out of that. But what sets today apart from the 80s and 90s when we were having this conversation is now it's just a meat grinder. Everything goes in and gets processed and comes out. You'll have somebody with like 80s hair, 90s skirt, 2000s makeup, 1950s political views.
No offense to our younger listeners. I look at Gen Z and I just think, what are you guys doing? What is this?
This is what makes us old people.
Right.
They're doing it. So we go, what are they doing? I find it fascinating how Gen Z is either in the softest, most comfortable sweatpants, or they're in a very restrictive club outfit that looks borderline unwearable. But you know, when the clothes you wear at night are that hard to wear, the rest of the time you got to make up for it.
You got to just basically wear a sweatsuit with a teddy bear on it. And I'm not sure. It's very interesting. When I watch Frankie McNamara, the narcissistic spirit guide on TikTok, he's interviewing kids who are in their 20s. And I look at their clothes and just think, well, what is this? What is
You look
this
ridiculous.
thing? Well, not even ridiculous. I'm just so confused. What is the look? I don't get it.
He visited LA and made some videos. And I saw that he was in my Trader Joe's and I was so excited.
You're basically famous now.
We know we're basically best friends. All of beauty is a cycle. All of fashion is a cycle. There's micro trends and they move so quickly now. Labubus are already on their way out. We're constantly being presented with new ideas and new fashions. And whether we try to jump on board or not is up to us. It's something that you very easily can opt out of and just dress like an aging goth in 80s secretary wear every day.
Or you can dress like a retired woman who lives on the shore. She lives in Montauk.
An aspirational sailor with a t-shirt with a pun on it that is probably dirty.
Currently, I'm wearing a Wheatsville Food Co-op t-shirt, so put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Shout out to Wheatsville Co-op. To try to sum up the entirety of the beauty myth, what starts with the Industrial Revolution, when women are moving away from farms and into factories and into cities where they're more readily compared with huge numbers of women. It continues with the idea we can sell things to women. What's a way to sell things to women? We can make them feel bad about themselves. The next step is women are trying to assert themselves in the workforce. We need to make really, really high requirements of them to keep them in their place a little bit. As a big picture, the beauty myth and the idea that it's your job to be the most beautiful, the thinnest, the sparkliest version of yourself you possibly can be is social control, and it's an attempt to control us. People want to profit off of our misery. And in order to profit off it, you also have to create it. All of marketing, social media, advertising is creating this ideal that now might not even be a real woman. You, regular person, you have to look like her to deserve love, to deserve success, to deserve a family, to deserve any place in the world. The baseline is you have to look like this airbrushed, beautiful, idealized woman who is currently rocking her own birth weight.
And 22 years old.
And it's getting funnier to me the older I get. Gucci, Fendi, Prada. The women who are buying this are in their at least 30s, but probably 40s and 50s. They have their own money, their families have money, their husbands have money, but they're putting it on children.
Right. That 20-year-old cannot afford that bag.
No, that 20-year-old cannot afford lunch. They're putting these long-legged, sinewy children in the great big grandma sunglasses and furs and handbags because that's what sells stuff.
That's what women want to look like. Hey, guess what? You can either be broke and attractive and thin, or you can have some money but be old and kind of chubbed out. So we're just going to push these together and pretend that you can have it all.
As Prince said in Under the Cherry Moon, you had young people saying, who needs money when you've got youth? And old people saying, who needs youth when you've got money? The fact is we all want all of it all the time.
And women saying, I can't have either.
What is the upshot of the beauty myth? It keeps us in our place. It keeps us concentrated on our bodies and ourselves. It is fostering anxiety and depression. It's creating women against women competition. I had a very aggravating post on one of my TikToks this week. I was talking about what a bummer it is to be a woman and have other women talking to you about their bodies, the competition of who's got the worst body and who should be eating what, and how I've started to talk back to these women and say, hey, it's actually not your job to be extremely small. You weren't put on earth for that. I wasn't put on earth to be the tiniest version of myself I can be. I was put on earth because my mother wanted her husband to pay attention to her.
You were also born because the Mormon church needed more members.
I needed to pull a soul out of the well of souls before the world ended. A man commented, seems like women are their own worst enemies. And he meant it in a nice way. I've just observed that women seem really hard on themselves. They are their own worst enemies. I'm like, yes, because the patriarchy has benefited from that.
It all goes back to the same thing.
I can't take your job if I am trying to work out 3 hours a day
And
also
eat a can of soup for lunch.
Yes. And split a can of soup with a friend, run my household,
And take care of all of your children.
and your emotional needs.
So, Virginia, what are some small ways that you are fighting this in your day-to-day life?
I am truly, truly trying to stop hating my body and stop putting my energy there because I only have so much time and energy on this earth. And I think that it's a waste of time. I want to focus on my friendships. I want to focus on creativity. I want to focus on cool things I want to do with my time. Weighing my food portions, I don't think it's that cool. Where the beauty ideal is right now is towards wellness and physical health, but it's just another marketing strategy. I think we can get good things out of it. There's a focus on well-being. There's a lot of brands who are trying to tell you, I'm supporting this cause. We're being more socially active. This is more sustainable. Fenty Beauty has really done well with influencer marketing and focusing on inclusivity. This is a big, cool trend. It benefits me, but it's also just selling to me. The Dove Real Beauty campaign that everybody freaked out about on both ends. This is an early example of promoting that women are beautiful at every size. We're challenging unrealistic beauty standards, but also we're just selling soap. And fat women need more soap
because they have more body mass,
more body
more
area.
to clean.
Beauty brands especially are pivoting towards the idea of wellness and natural active ingredients. They're going to help your skin instead of just covering it under a layer of stuff. It's just another way to sell to us. And in 5 years, we're going to be back to hyper contoured and makeup so thick you can stand a pin up in it.
And as Billy Bragg says, freedom's just another word for nothing left to sell.
Laura, what are your final thoughts on this awesome question from Rachel?
Number one, thank you, Rachel. And also number two, please get me off this spinning rock as well. My way of dealing with it in my day-to-day life and experience is to expose myself on social media to mostly fat women and old women. All the people that I follow on TikTok are fat or old.
That's nice because you do follow me.
I try to expose myself to women who look like me on a daily basis. Every time there's a fat woman trying on clothes in her underwear, I like that because I want that to be my algorithm. I want to see my body back at me. I remind myself on a regular basis that women have been fat and old our whole lives, and we've been fat and old through the centuries, and we've still had children and had jobs and had partners and all the things. You can do everything as an old fat woman in the same way as a non-old, non-fat woman. There's also a woman I follow on TikTok. She has an adventure series and it's called Things to Do While Fat. She'll go do really cool stuff as a fat woman and talk about this one was tricky because my butt sticks in the seat, or this hike was a little bit hard because I am fat. I just want to normalize humanity, normalize regular women. I have also, as Virginia pointed out, abandoned any kind of fashion forward thing. I wear the clothes that look good on me, whether they're fashionable or not. I try to focus on timeless looks, things that can span time. I have a preference, stripes and nautical wear. For work, it's pajamas. And that's basically it. I have a friend, I've talked about her before. She's very fashion focused and she's always telling me, this is what's in this month. I try to just normalize my body and be okay with my body. I look at my body a lot to try to feel good about it. Just it's here and it's the same as it's been since I gave birth to a person. Carson Kressley from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy had his own show for a while. I think it might still be on OWN, but it was called How to Look Good Naked. The goal was at the end of the episode, he would have her do a boudoir photo shoot naked. The whole episode was him building her self-esteem. But the first exercise he did with every woman is he would stand her naked in front of a mirror and he would ask her to point out to him the things that she loved most about her body. And some women could just say my wrists or my earlobes. But he said, when you look in the mirror, focus on the things you love about your body instead of the things that you hate. I try to do that too. So Virginia, what are your final thoughts on this topic?
I think it's important when you are receiving bad messages about your body or your looks or how you dress to try and take a moment and examine where that came from. Is this a worthwhile thing to listen to? Am I being shamed by a 20-year-old with 2 million followers on TikTok? Is that a reasonable thing for me to feel influenced by?
And is it a good way to spend my time?
Is it a good way to spend my energy? Find things that you do find beautiful about yourself. Dress exactly how you want to dress. I really dislike the best ways to dress over 50. You wear exactly what you want to wear.
Wear clothes that make you feel good about your body. This is the problem that I experienced with my friend is she'll wear things that she doesn't feel good in, but they're the latest trend. I wear exclusively mom jeans because they're form flattering. They make me feel comfortable and I like the way that they look.
They're made for moms. Big picture, this is a trap that has been set up for us and that we have perpetuated. I saw a TikTok where a woman was talking about hiring and she started shaming a woman because her hair wasn't done in an interview and saying, I just can't take her seriously if she hasn't put this time into herself. And another woman said, that's just sorority mean girl stuff. This thing where we're shaming other women for their appearance or the effort they've put into their appearance. I don't actually go in for that anymore. That's how I try to live my life.
The way my hair looks has nothing to do with whether I'm qualified to have this job or not.
How big my butt is does not influence my ability to source and manufacture high quality, sustainable fabrics for your company.
And we also, gentle reminder, have to remember that most beauty standards are based in racism.
That's Laura's favorite topic, and it's true.
So, Virginia, if anybody wants to not cry about their body image and maybe have a couple of laughs, where would they find you on the internet?
You can find me on my website, which is www.badinia.com, and my Instagram and TikTok are both Badinia. You can find our podcast. We have a website at mysistersatherapist.com, and you can write us at hello@mysistersatherapist.com with comments or great topic ideas like this one. If you'd like to hire us to do absolutely anything that is legal and that we will feel like doing, you can write us at hireus@mysistersatherapist.com. And this includes promoting Bitchin' Sauce, Imperfect Foods,
G-Sauce,
Liquid Death,
Costco,
and Legoland.
Why are we promoting Legoland?
Laura, if people wanted to find out more about you on the internet, where would they go to do so?
They can find me at my website. If you're a human being living in the state of Texas, I would love to do therapy with you. I'm at lauraryan.org. If you're interested in finding out more about my amazing TikTok account, I am Laura Ryan. You might get a kick out of it. If you're interested in following the show, we have our own website, mysistersatherapist.com. And you can also find us on Instagram, My Sisters a Therapist Instagram account.
Laura, now is the time on the podcast where you like to read a review or an email that someone has sent us about the podcast. If you would like to write a review, it's our very favorite thing. And it doesn't have to be on Apple. You can put it on Spotify or on Audible. But we would love for you to help us get the word out about My Sister's a Therapist. Do you have anything to share this week?
Yes. If you'd like to write us a review, you can go to Apple Podcasts, you can go to Audible, and you can go to Amazon Music or Spotify and just leave us a review. As everybody says on podcast, it really helps. This is an email from our listener, Rebecca M. And she said, tagged if I do, tagged if I don't. Hello, Laura and Virginia. I met Virginia at least 10 years ago in Portland through some mutual people. It was a party in like a parking lot somewhere near 99E, I think. We only interacted in person the one time that I remember, but I follow her on social media and I'm an avid listener of the podcast. I particularly enjoyed Gifted and Talented for a variety of reasons. As an educator with experience in K-12 and adjacent nonprofit private sector and now higher ed, I often think about the purpose and value of such programs. I never put it together until your episode that they are a convenient way to get annoying kids out of the classroom for some period of the time. And oh my, the fact that I told boring stories about my family and corrected people's grammar, I still do both of these things, didn't mean I was a highly intelligent. And I'm not sure it meant that I was neurodivergent, but I do suffer from what I know now is pretty bad anxiety. So who knows? But my unique abilities did earn me a spot in Pegasus, providing enrichment and gifted activities for Spirit Lake's unique students. Tag programs in rural Iowa in the 80s and 90s, back when we had the slogan, Fine, first in the nation in education. They were quite controversial, as I'm sure you can imagine. And clearly, acronyms were all the rage. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca. I remember meeting Rebecca. I believe we talked a lot about dance.
And thanks again to Rachel. We really appreciate your story ideas. We really appreciate your emails. Also, if you're listening to this, no matter where you are, maybe you're at the gas station, maybe you're on the toilet, but tell 10 people that you know or have just met that they should listen to our podcast.
Thanks, as always, to our super fan, Zach G. Please
keep it coming.
Keep it coming. We love it. And in the words of our spiritual founder, we would like to say, from Billy Ray Valentine to you, we can make it, baby.
Me and you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.